Winter always meant overtime for me. I worked for the municipality as a contracted operations driver, basically the person they called when roads needed clearing, sanding, or emergency attention. During colder months, that meant one thing: snowplows. A lot of them. I preferred the overnight routes. I always had less traffic, fewer complaints, and a strange calm that only exists when a town is asleep under fresh snow. So whenever the schedule went up, I volunteered for nights without hesitation. That evening, I clocked in just after 9:45 p.m. at the operations depot on the north end of town. A heavy storm had already been rolling through for hours, the kind that piles snow faster than you can push it away. Visibility was poor, wind sharp enough to sting through layers. I checked my assignment board sector C. Southern residential zoning. Grabbed the keys to Unit 14. By the time I rolled out of the yard, even roads that had been cleared earlier were disappearing again beneath thick, fast-falling snow. The drive out took about 20 minutes. No traffic, no headlights, just my plow lights cutting the tunnel through white darkness. Sector C was the oldest part of town. Large plots of land, narrow winding roads, houses set far back behind trees and snowbanks. Beautiful during the day, unforgiving at night, especially with roads barely wide enough for two vehicles to squeeze past each other. I'd been working that zone for years. Muscle memory took over as I looped street after street, blade down, salt spreading behind me, time blurred. The storm never let up. It was just after 1 a.m. when I finished the outer loop and headed deeper into the neighborhood. That's when I almost rear-ended a car. I slammed the brakes, the plow grinding as it stopped barely a few car lengths behind an old maroon sedan sitting dead center in the road. No hazard lights, no movement. I waited 10 seconds, 30, nothing. Assuming they were stuck, I put the truck in park, grabbed my radio, and stepped out into knee-deep snow. The wind was brutal up close. I trudged toward the car, my boots crunching loudly. When I was about 6 feet away, the driver's door suddenly swung open. A man stepped out. Something about him immediately set my nerves on edge. He was painfully thin, shoulders hunched, hair wild like he'd been pulling at it for days. His face looked hollow, exhausted beyond normal tiredness, but his eyes were wide, alert, almost frantic. I started to ask if he needed help, but halfway through the sentence, I changed it to, "Are you okay?" He muttered something I couldn't hear over the wind. "Sorry, what was that?" I asked, taking a cautious step closer. This time he said it louder. "Leave?" Not yelled, not panicked, flat, commanding. I raised my hand slightly, told him I was just checking on him. That's when he snapped. "Leave?" I didn't argue. I backed away slowly, every instinct telling me to put distance between us. By the time I climbed back into my truck, he was already pulling away, tires spinning as he disappeared into the storm. I sat there for a moment, heart thudding, debating whether to call it in. Something was wrong with that man. I could feel it, but I had no plate number, and he was already gone. I told myself he was just having a breakdown, a bad night. I kept working. About half an hour later, I rounded a bend and there he was again. Same car, same maroon rusted body. Parked sideways this time, blocking the entire road. Only this stretch had just one house. I waited, tapped the horn once, then again, no response. My unease turned into something colder. I radioed dispatch and requested police assistance, explaining the repeated obstruction and erratic behavior. While still on the line, I stepped out to check the plate. That's when I realized the car was empty. The engine was off, snow already gathering on the windshield. Then I heard it. A scream, faint at first, nearly swallowed by the wind, but unmistakable. It came from the house. I froze, listening. Another scream, louder, desperate. The front door was wide open. Dispatch told me to stay in my vehicle. Officers were en route. I didn't listen. I ran. Snow dragged at my legs as I pushed toward the house, shouting that help was coming. Inside, the place was dark except for a dim hallway light upstairs. The screams were coming from above. I took the stairs two at a time. At the top, I saw him. The man was slamming himself into a bedroom door, shoulder first, over and over. A woman was screaming on the other side, her voice cracking in terror. He didn't even notice me at first. I grabbed him from behind and pulled with everything I had. He fought back instantly while, desperate, thrashing like someone with nothing left to lose. We crashed into the hallway wall. He swung at me blindly. I managed to get him down, pinning him with my weight, adrenaline burning through me. That's when I saw the knife. It lay a few feet away, skittered across the floor during the struggle. If he'd reached it. I don't let myself finish that thought. He burned out quickly, rage turning into exhausted sobs. By the time officers stormed in, guns drawn, he barely resisted as they cuffed him and dragged him away. The woman was alive, shaken, bruised, but alive. Later, I learned bits and pieces. The house belonged to his ex-wife. He'd lost it in the divorce, lost custody, lost control. That was all I was ever told. I still think about the moment I first saw him, about how close I came to driving past without stopping, about how easily that night could have ended differently. I don't volunteer for night shifts anymore, but every time it snows, I remember how quiet the roads wander, how danger doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it just waits, parked in the middle of the road. I switched to overnight deliveries because I thought it would be easier. After years of driving rideshare, dealing with drunk passengers and backseat arguments at 2 a.m, the idea of simply dropping off packages sounded peaceful. No small talk, no awkward tips, just boxers, addresses, and empty roads. They called us independent flex couriers. It basically meant you used your own car, chose your hours, and delivered warehouse packages wherever the system sent you. The pay was better at night, so that's when I worked. Most nights were uneventful. Warehouse pickup around 10:30 or 11 p.m. Load up the trunk, follow the route, repeat. But that night didn't follow the usual pattern. I started later than normal, close to 11. The storm earlier in the evening had delayed some outbound shipments, so routes were scrambled and spread out. The first few deliveries went smoothly. Suburban porches, quiet streets, porch lights left on. Then I noticed the next stop on my app, 42 minutes away, for one single package. I sighed, turned up the heater, and started driving. The route led me through a part of town I rarely visited. Fewer streetlights, more empty storefronts, apartment buildings that looked like they'd been forgotten sometime in the late 80s. The label had a unit number on it. That usually meant trouble. Apartment deliveries at night were always complicated locked lobbies, missing access codes, broken call boxers. Half the time I ended up leaving packages outside and marking them as no secure access. When I pulled into the lot, I already knew this would be one of those stops. The building was old brick, paint peeling around the windows. Only a few lights glowed inside. No movement outside. No cars pulling in or out. It was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. I grabbed the box and tried the side entrance marked deliveries. Locked. No code in the app. I walked around to the main entrance. Locked too. Fine. Standard procedure. Leave it by the door, take the photo, move on. That's when I heard footsteps crunching on gravel behind me. Evening, a man's voice said. I turned. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a thick winter coat zipped to his chin, maybe mid-50s, gray beard, eyes that didn't quite match his relaxed tone. Hey, I replied automatically, stepping aside so he could reach the door. But he didn't move past me. He just stood there. How's your night going? He asked, at nearly 2 a.m, in a near-empty parking lot. It's fine, I said, just deliveries. I angled my body toward my car, hoping he'd take the hint. Instead, he took a small step closer. You do this every night? The question wasn't friendly curiosity. It felt like information gathering. Sometimes, I said quickly. Actually, I'm running behind. I walked toward my car. He followed 2 steps behind me. Busy job? He asked. I didn't answer. I got in, locked the doors, and pulled out without looking back. In my rearview mirror, he was still standing in the lot, watching. A few minutes later, I pulled onto a quieter road to reorganize the remaining packages. That's when I saw headlights slow behind me. I waited for the vehicle to pass. Instead, it slowed and pulled onto the shoulder behind my car. I didn't stick around long enough to confirm anything. I merged back onto the road and kept driving. Coincidence? I told myself. Just a weird night. 15 minutes later, I arrived at the next address. Single-family home in a normal suburban. Neighborhood streetlights, holiday decorations still up safe looking. I grabbed the package and walked up the driveway. Halfway to the porch, I noticed headlights turning onto the street behind me. Slow. Too slow. The car rolled to a stop directly behind mine. Cold spread through my chest. Even before I saw the driver clearly, I knew. Same vehicle. Same silhouette. And when I caught a glimpse through the windshield, there was no doubt. It was him, the man from the apartment building. He was staring straight at me. All pretense gone. I didn't think. I ran. The moment I sprinted toward my car, he moved too. His engine revved, and he pulled forward, swinging his car sideways to block mine in the driveway. I barely got inside and locked the door before he was out of his vehicle. His calm expression from earlier had vanished. He looked furious. He slammed his fists against my window, shouting words tumbling out fast and distorted. I couldn't understand a single sentence. It was like listening to someone speak a language made of anger. I threw the car into reverse. He jumped in front of my bumper. I stopped inches from hitting him. He screamed louder, pounding his hands on the hood. I reversed again, this time hard enough to create space. He hesitated just for a second, then ran back to his own car. That was my opening. I shot past him and onto the road. As expected, he followed. That's when I called 911. My voice shook as I explained everything: the apartment, the parking lot, him blocking my car. The dispatcher told me an officer was nearby and to keep driving, stay on well-lit roads, and give constant location updates. The headlights stayed behind me for a while. Then suddenly, they were gone. No turn signal, no visible side street, just gone. I met a patrol car less than 5 minutes later. I honestly assumed that would be the end of it. A report filed, no suspect identified, just another strange close call. But the next day, I got a call. They'd found him. Apparently, the package I'd delivered to the apartment complex had been ordered under a fake unit number, but using his real name. He had placed it himself. Police found him lingering around the building again the following night, waiting for another delivery driver. When they questioned him, he couldn't give a coherent reason for what he'd done. According to the officer I spoke with, he showed clear signs of severe mental instability. No robbery attempt. No clear motive. Just fixation. That's what unsettled me most. If I hadn't run when I did it, I'd hesitated for even 10 seconds. There wouldn't have been anyone around to stop whatever he intended. Overnight delivery feels different now. Every dark parking lot feels like a question. Every unexpected conversation feels like a test. And sometimes, when I see headlights slow down behind me, my heart still skips. Because it only takes one random encounter with the wrong person to realize you were never just delivering a package. You were being delivered to them.